No, no. Look, let's just. I don't want to. Look, there was plenty of evidence. I mean,
okay.
Bush's brother, President Bush's brother, was in charge of security at the World Trade Center. There was all sorts of construction going on there.
I'm just trying to think with the audience here because we're talking really fast, and some of these things are going to make them just go head over heels. They're going to be reeling when they hear this. I mean, you're exposing an absolutely incredible through line that shows more compellingly than any other motive I've ever heard of why specifically did the World Trade Center come down. That there was this massive gold cache underneath the World Trade Center, and they snuck it out, I guess, by some kind of railroad tracks or something, right? Like a train?
It was shipped to California, and then I believe to Paraguay.
Oh, my God.
But the point is that, okay, what happened
So
next?
China must have known they got rolled. I mean, when they saw the World Trade Center come down, they must have suspected something immediately.
Of course they knew. They said these bastards aren't going to pay us back. They're trying to, start World War III. And what happened was they quintupled the U.S. military budget with this fake war on terror,
Right, and they got this Patriot Act that's like 5 inches thick of paper that just spontaneously showed up.
Which is identical to the Nazi Constitution, okay?
Oh, my God.
And more to the point is that they had this, and there's a lot of insiders, evidence about this, but they had this plan to start this whole Gog and Magog thing again. And this time, the plan involved starting a limited nuclear war between Iran and Israel, okay? And they're going to use that war as an excuse to set up martial law in the G7 countries. What's
the time frame you're talking about for when this was being planned now?
Well, they've been trying it for quite a long time now, ever since 2001, and even before.
Right, so just to set up the chessboard now, we're post 9/11, the Chinese know that they've been rolled, that this gold has once again been stolen. China wants to get their gold back, and in the meantime, the Rockefeller faction in the U.S.
They're building up their military, and they're trying to get the Western countries on a full militarized basis to prepare for World War III.
And what's that going to do for them? They want to reduce population, and they want to wipe out the Chinese?
And they don't want to lose control. They don't want to lose power.
And
they still have their messianic, fascist, cultist belief that they're destined to rule humanity. And so the Israeli newspapers even referred openly to China and Russia and Iran as Magog and the G5 or G7 as Gog.
Wow.
And they were trying to get all these countries to kill each other.
Wow.
They were trying to start World War III. Their plan, I've seen a map they have of where they're going to divide China into 6 countries,
Like balkanize it,
Post World War III. But what happened was the Pentagon, realized that through their game scenarios that if they started all out World War III, 90% of humanity would die, including most of them. And so they didn't want to go with it. And they constantly prevented attacks on Iran. They stopped Israeli air raids. They invaded Georgia to stop an Israeli attack on Iran from there. They didn't want to start World War III because they realized it was insanity.
You're talking about the South Ossetia War now?
Yeah. That was an Israeli air base that was designed to attack Iran and start this whole thing.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so this is, it's truly crazy stuff, but the evidence is right there in front of your eyes. I mean, and like I said, the Israeli newspapers openly talked about it. In Haaretz and places like that. So, what happened now, there was a plot, a counter plot was they sent these people to cash $1 trillion worth of these bonds that were given to them by the feds.
So you're saying now that the Asian secret societies, who control enough gold that if it were repatriated, it would be thousands of trillions of dollars. That's what it says in the legal document.
Yes.
They created a sting operation with these guys.
Together with the CIA.
Together with the CIA, okay.
The CIA guys who they used to work with in Southeast Asia, right?
Who don't want the powers that were to still be running the show.
Yeah, well, they realize they're insane and incompetent, and they were like one level below these guys and knew that they were crazy, you know?
Yeah, now when we write this up and we have this all transcribed on my website, I'm going to embed videos for people and the original articles on Bloomberg.com that demonstrate the mainstream media to a limited degree, because hardly anybody would touch this story, saying that these guys were detained on the border in Italy, I believe, with $134.5 billion in 1934 bonds, right?
Yeah. Okay. Now this is very important. There's a couple things you need to learn, let people realize when they try to create disinformation about this.
Okay, great.
Okay, the guys' names, I've talked to both of them, Yamaguchi and Watanabe. Okay.
Watanabe.
Now, I was involved because I called by the P2 Freemason Lodge. I talked to some of the Italian Treasury police who arrested it. First of all, they said that the bonds were forgeries, okay, but neither Watanabe nor Yamaguchi were arrested. They were let go. And then the Italians said that there was a trial, but there's no record of a trial, okay? There's no record of these bonds being officially confiscated, but we do have evidence that Prime Minister Berlusconi tried to cash them, and we do have, you know, evidence that Ban Ki-moon, the head of the UN, came forward and said, "We'll give you $100 million to go away and forget about this whole thing."
Jesus.
We have the Davos World Forum. In other words, we can prove that the head of the UN, the Davos World Forum, and Prime Minister Berlusconi, among others, were involved in this theft. And that is provable case. It's not, you know, these people were followed, they were recorded, they were videotaped. This is all provable in a court of law, which is why we went through a lawsuit.
Okay, let's get one thing clear, though, and that is that these bonds were generated in 1934 by the Federal Reserve, but in 1934 they made sure that if China ever actually tried to use these bonds, that they would appear fraudulent when they were tried to be cashed.
Yeah, there's a lot of, you know, there's deliberate typos, and then the numbers themselves are astronomical. They don't, you got to understand that there's two financial systems in the world, okay? There's like the stuff that's on the books, and there, according to the official government statistics, world GDP is $63 trillion, right? Mm-hmm. And then we have these bonds which are supposedly worth $371 trillion. You know, it just, there's a disconnect.
What bonds are worth $371 trillion?
The
exactly?
Total amount held by the Dragon family, the 85% of the world's gold and treasure. That's how much it was assessed at.
Okay, so this is the stuff that was blacklisted.
Yeah, and the stuff that
prior to Bretton Woods,
nephew gave us power of attorney to sue over, you know.
And that power of attorney was given specifically to Neil Keenan, as cited in your documents.
Yeah, and Keith Scott.
Okay.
And that's just to say, hey, you guys stole gold and treasure that doesn't belong to you. And what makes his lawsuit scary to the people who run the financial system is that they have now the legal right to open what's known as a black screen. Now, a black screen, I had to, you know, this is esoteric stuff, but basically, you got to remember that 95% of the money in the world exists only as numbers in a computer. Only 5% of it's in cash money, okay?
That's like most people's bank account too, right? Unless you withdraw the money, it's just in a computer.
Yeah, but otherwise what you get is a book entry with numbers, you know?
Sure.
Okay, well these numbers, now there's high-level codes that allow you to punch in, like you go through the secret stuff, you punch in your access code and whatever, and then you type in like $1 billion and bingo, you've created $1 billion. Now that's a pretty nice little thing to have your hands on, and you can see why these guys don't want to give it up.
These guys meaning the Western powers.